So under part 3, what we have certain fundamental rights. These rights are given, and also definition of state is given, that this is who all would be responsible. Now Constitution of India came into force only in 1950. Before that also we had multiple legislation, we had multiple like national laws, domestic laws, municipal laws, we had many other laws or many other many other things that were applicable in India. So we had to ensure that all of those things are also following the provisions of part 3. In case anything is not, like contradictory to the provisions of part 3, we need to deal with those provisions. So Article 13 is all about the laws which are inconsistent with or in derogation with the fundamental rights. That means obviously fundamental rights are given, definition of state is given, we are being told who all would be responsible to ensure these rights are utilized. But then we also should look into the laws which were existing before the Constitution of India came into force and what will happen to those laws. So Article 13 tells us what will happen to those laws. It says all the laws in force in the territory of India immediately before commencement of the Constitution, so far as they are inconsistent with the provisions of this part, to the extent of such inconsistencies, shall be void. That means any law which is applicable or in force in the territory of India immediately before Constitution of India came into force. That means before 1950, whatever laws were there, if any part of that particular law or the entire law is inconsistent with the Constitution, part 3 of the India, what will happen is that that part would be considered as void. That part would not be applicable after commencement of the Constitution. So any law which is applicable in India before Constitution of India came into force, any part or the entire law, whatever is violating the Constitution or part 3, that particular thing would be considered as void. That would no longer be applicable. Is this part clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Nextly, they said the state shall not make any law which takes away or abridges the rights conferred in this part, and any law made in contravention of this clause shall to the extent of contravention be void. So in first thing what they are mentioning is that the laws that were applicable before 1950, right? That before 26th of January 1950, whatever laws are applicable, we should see that if it is violating the provisions of part 3. In case it is violating, then we we cannot make it applicable. So what happens is that for the first part, they are saying that any particular law that is in force before 26th of January 1950, that would become void if it is violating the provisions of part 3, or if any part of it is violating the provisions of part 3. Okay, so if there is, for example, one particular law, the entire law is not violating the provisions of part 3, but only one section or one particular provision is violating, then that provision would become void. If the entire law is violating, the entire law would become void. This is clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So the first part is regarding laws that were applicable before 26th of January 1950. But what will happen is that after that also there might be some states, or there might be even Parliament may also make some law that would violate the provisions of Constitution. So what will happen to those laws? So this provision is also mentioned, that state shall not make any law. Definition of state is already given. Now they are saying that state shall not make any law which takes away or abridges rights of people. So if the state is making any such laws, those laws would also become void. That means even after 1950 also, if there are any laws, that would also become void. So the main difference is, this is like laws applicable before 26th of January 1950. This is after 26th of January 1950 also. If anything is made, we would see whether any part is violating the provisions of part 3 or not. Okay, next is regarding laws. So now what are laws? Now laws would not just mean the legislations or statutes that we have. It may also mean any ordinance, order, bylaws, rules, regulations, notification, custom, usages, or any other thing which should be binding on people. That means by any means also people cannot violate it. For example, any particular university, they wants to recruit, maybe they wants to have like admission for a certain course. If they are not fulfilling the like rights, if they are not providing reservation to the minority group, if they are not providing the relaxation regarding age or admission fees or anything to the minority group, that would mean they are violating. That means that particular notification would also be considered as law and it would become void. So anything that is made, it should be ensured that it is not violating part 3 of the Constitution of India. And law does not just mean any statute or legislation, but it may mean any other thing also. Law in force includes laws passed or made by legislature or any other competent authority before commencement of this Constitution, not previously repealed and not previously repealed or still thereof. So this basically means law in force means any law that is applicable at that particular moment, which is applicable in India. That is what is called as laws in force. Any doubts on Article 13?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So firstly, it is said that any laws applicable before 26th of January 1950, we would see if it is violating. If violating, it would become void. Any laws after that period also, we would see if it is violating, it would become void. Law would not just mean statutes and legislation, it would mean any other thing also. Now what happens? These things were mentioned, okay? Now that means what? Everything should ensure that part 3 is fulfilled, part 3 is followed, part 3 is, citizens are able to enjoy part 3. Now there was like, there were a few cases, like Golaknath case also came, right? Yes, in last class I told you. So there was Golaknath. So what happened is that, like after independence, all the lands that we had in India, it was held by the zamindars, right? A big areas of lands were held by zamindars, and people used to work under them, and then they used to get paid. So what happened is that government needed lands after independence. Government needed lands so that they can start with some developmental activities in India. So what they started doing is that state governments, they started implementing some land reform laws, under which what they would say is that they would like fix a certain number, that this is what is the maximum amount of land one person can hold. This is what is the maximum amount of land that an entity can hold. So like that, they wanted to give a restriction, and so that they can also get lands from people or from zamindars. Now there was one law for Punjab during LC Golaknath case. So what that particular law said is that Golaknath cannot hold such a big amount of land. They need to give portions of it to the government. That particular law was challenged in the in court. A case was filed saying that under Constitution we are being given a fundamental right to property, and then now this particular state law is violating that particular right. So what happened is that court also said that, okay, fine, under fundamental rights, citizens are given this particular right. So parliament cannot make a law, or, the state cannot make a law whereby they would take away that particular property from people. So like that, what happened where that parliament's, power was restricted. States were not allowed to make laws that would take away that particular right from people. So there was some amendment that was made, and it was said that nothing in this article shall apply to any amendment to the Constitution under Article 368. Why this particular amendment was made? Because right to property was removed, right? From fundamental rights, it was removed and it was inserted in Article 308. Now, if that thing is made, that would also be seen, right? That particular thing, that fundamental, it was a fundamental right. Right to property was a fundamental right at one point of time. So is it justified that we would take it and then we would make it a constitutional right? That part would also be seen under this article, right? So state is making some law which is violating the fundamental right. right to property was a fundamental right, it is taken away. That means that particular constitutional amendment would also be seen under this particular article. So they inserted another clause that nothing in this article would be applicable to any amendment made under Article 368. That means Parliament's decision to make right to property a constitutional right and not a fundamental right, we cannot see whether that is violating the provisions of Part 3 or not. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this article basically was included. This particular change was basically made because of that only. Because courts were not allowing any state to make certain laws which would take away the right to property from people. So what happened is that this particular like clause was added that any amendment of the constitution would not come under this. That means we can even make changes to the fundamental rights, take away a fundamental right which is usually given to the people. So that thing we cannot see. Anyone knows what is doctrine of eclipse? Also related to Article 13 only. Doctrine of eclipse, anyone remembers? So in these two clauses, right, when they said that the law would become void, the law would become void, it does not mean that the law would become, you know, like we would just throw that particular law that would not become applicable ever again. It does not mean that. What it means that it is shaded by Article 13 for the time being. That means for the time being, Article 13 is covering that particular law which is violating part 3 of the constitution. So it does not mean the law would become absolutely invalid from that particular point of time. It just means that Article 13 is covering the law for the time being. In case there are changes in fundamental rights, then what happens, that law again might become applicable. For example, under any particular law, someone is given the which right to take. For example, children are given the right to free and compulsory primary education. One particular law was there that was going against that particular right. So for the time being, Article 13 will cover that particular law, but after that, again, the law would be applicable in case there are any changes in Part 3 of the Constitution. So there was one case also, Vikaji versus state of Madhya Pradesh. So in this case, what happened was that there was a detailed discussion regarding application of pre-existing laws, and also there was another case, CP versus Berar Motor Vehicles Amendment Act. So in this case, what happened was that there was one act, CP and Berar Motor Vehicles Amendment Act 1948. That means this particular act was applicable before commencement of constitution. What it did is that it authorized state government to take up entire motor transport business to the exclusion of motor transport operators. The provision, though valid when enacted, became, so what happened under this particular act? This was a state act, right? In this particular act, what happened was that state government was given the authority that they would look into motor transport business entirely by themselves. That means the normal common people would not be given the right to carry on any sort of business or profession in regard to motor transport business. But what happened after Constitution of India came into force, under Part 3, we are given the right that we can practice any profession, any business. So this particular act was challenged on the ground of Article 19(1)(z) that it is violating our right. First of all, we are given the right that we can practice or follow any profession, any trade, but then they are taking away this particular right. So that means it is a violation of our right. So in this particular case, doctrine of eclipse was applied. So what they did is that for the time being, this provision was made void. This provision was made not applicable. But later on, there were some changes. In 1951, there was Constitutional First Amendment, Constitutional First Amendment Act. There was some changes in Article 19, and they said that there might be some areas or some activities or some fields where state government can take or do the business in exclusion of common people. So in this, after this particular amendment was done, the act again became valid. That means what? This act was applicable from the time before Constitution of India came into force. It said that state government can do motor transport business in exclusion of common people. But later when Constitution came, it was violating under Article 19(1)(z). So it was, for the time being, it was made invalid. But not like this act only became completely irrelevant. It was for the time being became it invalid. But later on, when there was another constitutional amendment wherein it was said that government has the authority to monopolize any business, again this particular provision became valid. Is it too complicated?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Clear, right, this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So basically they said that state government would be taking or carrying the entire motor transport business in exclusion of common people under this particular act. When Constitution came, we were given the exclusive right that we have the right to practice any profession, any trade, any business. So under Article 19(1)(g), this act was challenged, and for the time being, doctrine of eclipse was applied on this act. But later on, we had one amendment in 1951, first constitutional amendment, where another clause was inserted in Article 19, and it said that government has the authority to monopolize any business. Then this particular act again became applicable. It again became valid. So this particular doctrine of eclipse or Article 13 would be applicable when it would be applicable for laws before Constitution of India came into force or after Constitution of India came into force, but it would become void or invalid only till the time it is violating fundamental rights. In case later on there is any constitutional amendment and some changes are made, then what happens is that that particular law would again become valid. It would be again applicable. So if anyone have any doubts, you can ask me regarding these two articles. Article 12 and 13, any doubts, anyone?